this community I want to rely on for driving the vision and driving the future of how should we do good in the world? How should we give thanks to people? How should we reward people for doing good? That's the mission of the Thankful community, is collect and reward the nicest people in the world.
Layer 1 is a podcast and community dedicated to helping you master all things crypto. We'll be bringing you the best interviews with project executives, technical analysis for trading of the most popular cryptocurrencies, and insight into what's actually happening behind the scenes.
As you join us each episode, you're going to hear about tokens, fundraisers, investments, and even crypto conspiracies. But please remember that nothing we say should be considered financial or legal advice.
Come join us on this journey, and welcome to Layer 1.
All right. Good morning, good evening, good night. It's another episode of Layer 1. We have a special Thanksgiving episode for you. This is going to be a lot of thanks in this episode, man. So I hope you guys are enjoying your Thanksgiving out there. I have Brett Goldstein, the founder of Thanks, as well as the co-founder of Launch House. We're going to have an awesome episode here. Brett, how you doing today, man?
Pretty great. I'm feeling pretty thankful, man.
Yeah, same here, same here. So we're going to get into the project Thanks and why this is such a special kind of event here that we're going to do today. You're doing a lot of things with growth hacking, and you're doing some things with Alex Massamedge. That was really cool. That's how I kind of was introduced to you a little bit. So I kind of want to get a backstory here about how you found yourself in the realm of crypto, because you're one of my first guests that is not necessarily, you're a crypto person, but you're kind of in tech as well. So I want to get your background here, man.
Yeah. And actually the funny thing is I've touched crypto probably very early on compared to a lot of people as well. So first time I came across crypto was one of my good friends, Colin Goltra, at Goltra on Twitter, GLTR on Super Rare. He's one of the top collectors on Super Rare. He was just banging the drum about crypto in 2013 and 14, about Bitcoin. Convinced us all to buy a bunch of Bitcoin. Back then, obviously, we sold some. Us and our friends got a little bearish. We sold some, and so I've only really dipped my toe in the water since then. Bought some Ethereum again whenever it was $11, as basically a hedge against the stability of the United States government.
The rest of us.
Yeah, like the rest of us, it turned out to be closely coupled to the stability rather than decoupled. But yeah, I would never say I definitely didn't get crypto rich. I never went much deeper than in investing. Also participated in the Tezos ICO, but yeah, mostly just invested. The reason I've stayed a little bit away from it is because crypto historically has been a combination of two of my least strong suits, which is deep technical cryptography, database infrastructure type stuff, and finance. And neither of those areas were super exciting or interesting to me for throughout my career. I see myself more as a kind of a classic kind of product person. I spent time as a product manager at Google working on features and for self-expression, AR face masks, stickers, GIFs. Before that, I was at Accenture doing research and development on kind of new technologies, new frontiers in technology, and kind of relating it to our clients. That was actually probably the first time I came across crypto, or 2013.
Interesting.
Actually went into Coinbase in 2013 and brokered a conversation between one of Coinbase's angel investors and the board of a big Australian bank. So I was literally sitting there in the room.
So you just went from you don't know much about crypto to being one of the crypto OGs in my book. So
yeah, I don't know, but I just been dancing around crypto for a long time, almost a decade.
I'm sure Olaf was actually working the customer service when you were there. I love that you talked about yourself being a product guy, because that might make sense why you weren't touching a lot of crypto, because there weren't many products, right? There just was nothing was built out yet, and we're getting to this point. And something we were talking about pre-episode was you seeing yourself almost as a bridge bridge, right? For these people that aren't necessarily in crypto or blockchain, understanding some of the things that are going on here. So I really like the eyes that you can look at crypto with, because it's not the same as the traditional episodes that I have. That's one of the reasons I had you on. So
I tried to get into it, year after year, bull run after bull run. And my best friend Colin was like trying to get me into it for a long time. But again, it was the product, like not seeing kind of the product opportunities right in front of me. Right. I was much more oriented. I was used to working at Google, where you build a product and a billion people use it.
yeah.
And that was different from crypto, which is like, there's a lot of speculative trading and there still is, but it's exciting right now because normal people like me can go and spin up these projects that have some utility beyond just speculation.
Yeah, and we're going to talk on Thanks, which you're launching here within the next 24 hours, or today, actually, because this podcast is coming out on Thanksgiving. I totally feel you, because in crypto, for the longest time, it felt like you kind of had to lay the railways while you were creating the product at the same time, which is just such an insane task. So let's talk about Launch House. This is kind of how I got introduced to you. I saw you on Twitter again, like I said, Alex Masmej. You guys were in the Launch House in Tulum together. What is the Launch House, and how was that experience being there?
Yeah, so I would say Launch House is somewhere between a TikTok influencer house and a startup incubator. It started out a couple months ago. A bunch of people from On Deck just wanted to go down to Tulum and co-work and work on startups for a month. We got a little cheeky along the way. We put up a website and some social media accounts for it, and I called it Launch House, and New York Times retweeted it. We got covered in TechCrunch, and lo and behold, it became a thing. But really what it's morphed into is, this is a month-long co-living, co-building, collaborative content creation experience. This is for founders who are thinking about building something right now, or are in the early stages of building something, and want to be surrounded by other founders and live with other founders who are in the same place as them. And most importantly, they want to launch, right? They want to put stuff out there in the world. I think a lot of us get stuck in idea mode, and a lot of us actually don't know some of the benefits of these kind of like lean startup methodologies around, putting MVPs out, just putting stuff out there. So over the course of the last few months, we've ran 2 launch houses, both in Tulum. About 40 entrepreneur types have gone through. We've launched dozens of products. There have been several teams that have formed and started, fundraising, doing venture fundraising for their startups that originated at Launch House, and also just like endless, like amazing conversations, like Alex and Nir, who runs Yup, and several others. We just would stay up till 4 a.m. talking about crypto and politics and stupid stuff and like serious stuff, and it's just a great experience. I think that's it. It was kind of what a lot of us are looking for during the pandemic.
Wanted to know if there was any reactions from any of the people that were maybe locked up in their house for a long time and came and were able to kind of just participate in relationships, like where they were kind of locked away and kind of building what have you. Did you have a reaction of like, oh my God, we're able to kind of communicate and be in a house together, and here's life again?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because we don't know. I mean, I guess there are 2 parts to it. It's like just merely being able to interact with other people is pretty awesome, but the caliber of people that we were able to get in the house together was really amazing, right? Like even just these 2 guys who are, from the crypto world, and there are actually a few more. There was Abby Barsky, who worked at CryptoKitties. There was Ellie, who's a Solidity developer. And then there was Alex and Nir. This is our crypto contingent. And they almost converted the whole house into crypto people. Tons of people launched personal tokens. I did the first early launch of Thanks. And it was just, I mean, the energy is crazy. The energy is really unbelievable.
That's awesome, man. And I could definitely see you guys kind of bustling in the house. I think there were some videos taken from inside, and you guys were always kind of like having discussions and things like that. So
Yeah.
definitely a good cross pollination there between a lot of interesting people. So before we get to thanks and before we get into social tokens or personal tokens, you guys are launching a third launch house, right, in LA. What's the plan for that? And I also wanted to know how you go through the applications here. Do you get a ton and you kind of have to turn people away? What's the deal there?
Yeah. So the Launch House 3 is going to be in LA. We're renting a beautiful, LA mansion. It's going to be just like the coolest experience. And it's going to be like the last launch houses, but, continuing to improve. So much more programming. So we're going to have, we had pretty amazing speakers last time, but they were all over Zoom. So we had a Ryan Hoover, we had Cortland Allen, we had David Booth, we had some others. The benefit of being in LA is that we're actually pretty close by. So, a lot of these speakers, like Ryan Hoover included, live in LA or live nearby. And so, assuming they get the right COVID tests before they come over, we're going to have them actually physically at the house. We're going to have a room in the house for these, famous entrepreneurs and investors to actually co-live with people. So we're talking to investors at even great firms like Founders Fund and Greylock about physically living with these entrepreneurs who are in this house and actually building together. Like, what was the last time you heard about a Founders Fund investor actually sitting down with an entrepreneur and like hacking on something together, right? Just to get something out over the weekend. So yeah, so that's going to be a really awesome experience. We're also going to have, some classic like TikTok influencers stop by, create some content. We have some pretty incredible people involved this time around. So yeah, I'm really excited, and we're just looking for amazing people to come and launch stuff together.
Awesome. I'll be putting our application in here at the end of the episode, man. But
Yeah.
with that many personalities, are there any negatives? Are there any side effects of having like that many personalities in one house? Have you seen like a little bit of a clash there? I don't want
Yeah.
to sugarcoat it,
No, I mean, the truth is like you're sticking a bunch of people in a box for a month. Like COVID means that we can't really like associate with the outside world very easily. Or much at all, and so we have to stick together. And just like with any large group of people coming together, you have different cliques emerge. You have like some people getting along with other people more than others. Like only the crypto people want to hang out with crypto people. Just kidding.
We do that.
No, I mean, we spend a lot of time trying to make sure that like not only the people we're bringing in are like positive people that like are easy to get along with, but also like creating an environment where people feel comfortable with each other. And so that means like bonding activities, that means like team dinners, that's like laughing and having fun as much as we can. So yeah, it's just like any any reality show or dorm like experience perhaps.
How varied are the products that they're working on? Because I think everyone kind of has different interests, I'm guessing, but is there like a huge variance between like, hey, I'm working on X product that's completely different than kind of what's going on over here, and you're able to kind of talk it out and things like that?
Yeah, totally. Very different so far. But one of the very interesting things is that there's definitely stuff to talk about. So great example is Jacob Peters, actually a co-founder of Launch House, was previously a co-founder of Comsor, which is a massive B2B community infrastructure platform. They are just like, doing really, really well. Like they're seen as a kind of a leader in the market. And he himself is like, he's gained a lot of attention as kind of being this individual who really understands community. He's in about 213 like Slack groups. So he really knows this stuff. And crypto, personal tokens, this whole part of the industry is doing community in such a new way. And he basically discovered this whole thing live at Launch House by talking to Alex and Nir and these other people about it. And so it was crazy to see this kind of expert in one part of community talk to these experts in another, this new type of community. And so that it's just really cool to see that crossover.
the traditional ways we've always viewed communities in moving now into social tokens and moving into different ways to incentivize communities, what have you seen is the difference between what your co-founder kind of saw as community and now where it's shifting to with the ability to create social tokens and just crypto primitives and things like that?
Yeah. So I think, I mean, you can't really tell what the future is going to look like 2, 3, 4 steps ahead of where you are. You can only kind of like observe from your current vantage point. So whatever I say is going to look like completely idiotic and myopic in 2 years, maybe like 6 months time at crypto rates. But I think the one thing that crypto does that like social tokens do for community that is just completely unheard of and a massive step functional improvement on kind of what is possible today is aligning incentives, right? So being able to incentivize members of your community to participate in the community and be part of the community and do all the positive things that you want for your community and reward them with tokens for doing that. And by holding those tokens, they get to participate in the upside of the community. That's completely unheard of. Like after you see that, you basically realize anybody who has any other community is leaving a ton of money on the table. So it's just, I think, yeah. And one other step around that is it kind of solves this cold start problem a little bit, where if you do it right and you have people that believe in your token or your mission, then you align incentives early on and it's easy to get people in the door.
So let's talk about Thanks and what you're doing with this product here and social tokens.
Yeah, so Thanks is a cryptocurrency for the nicest people on the internet. So you earn it by being nice, and that's evolved around how exactly how do you define nice, all that stuff. But for Thanksgiving, I'm basically rewarding people thanks for saying what they're thankful for, because I think if we live in a world that has more gratitude and thanks in it, then we'll live in a better world. So that's kind of what it is today. It was kind of this observation that there are tons of nice people around the internet. What if we not only reward them for being nice, but also collect them in this community? So Thanks is the cryptocurrency that is required to enter this community called the Thankful. And the Thankful is just a super feel-good community of people who just want to be nice to each other, say how much they appreciate each other, like give gratitudes every Friday, all that type of stuff. So if you hold 100 thanks, you get access to it.
Yeah, it kind of initially stood out to me because within all the morass that is Twitter and on all the people that are kind of negative and throw out that energy, it was this post that was just like, give thanks, and receive a social token based on that. And it kind of just drew me in, and we got talking on the future, which we'll get here in a second. But specifically, as far as communities are concerned, what event are you kind of running and what campaign are you running for different communities to participate in tomorrow?
Yeah, so it's Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving, right? So we got to give thanks on Thanksgiving. And it's an American custom, obviously, to say what you're thankful for on Thanksgiving. And so, again, I believe that if more people say what they're thankful for, that's good. And so what I'm doing is I have a website up, thankful.fyi, explains what thanks is, but there's also a contest on the website. So you press a button, you say what you're thankful for, and you get 100 thanks right off the bat. That's enough to join the community of the Thankful, participate in our weekly events, all that fun, awesome stuff. But after you say what you're thankful for, you have the option to say what community you're from. So, you'll say whatever community you are a part of. I wonder which one you guys will say. And whichever community has the most people who give thanks, I will airdrop additional thanks to that community, because obviously that's a really thankful community and these are nice people. And I want to meet more nice people. I want these people to be rewarded for being nice, and I want them to be part of my community as well.
That's awesome, man. So the idea is very sound, right? You're throwing out thanks to people that are being grateful on the internet. Then you bring them in, and you're kind of coordinating. You're aggregating all these nice individuals. Has it turned out kind of how you thought it would? Have you aggregated now a really grateful community and a positive group of people?
So not quite yet. So one of the very interesting things, my biggest learning, I launched Thanks on Twitter a couple weeks ago. That's obviously how we found each other. My audience is not crypto people. My audience is like institutional investors and founders, and like, we'll call them muggles, right? We're basically the muggles.
Okay.
Of the crypto world. And it looked scammy. It looked confusing. It was like, what is this? What do I do with this? I had a friend DM me and say, hey, I got really confused trying to sign up for Discord, and I didn't even know what I was doing or what, all this stuff. And so what I realized is that there's still this disconnect. There's still some work we need to do before everyday people can fully get on board with social tokens, with crypto. And so that's why this launch, while I am launching a product on Thanksgiving, that's more to just kind of like, make it a thing. I'm going specific to the crypto community, because aside from, these individuals knowing how to use a token to enter a Discord channel, which I had never heard of before like a month ago, they're also nice people in the crypto community, to be honest. So I've been hearing that over and over again. It's a small, tight-knit community, so it's like actually a really great place to start. And the other thing is I've been getting a lot of love from the hardcore crypto people, so I gotta support my people.
Yeah, man, you're in with the cool kids. I can see that. Ryan Selkis, we had him on the podcast a little while ago. He runs Masari, which is like a data analysis and aggregation website and platform. And he was talking about crypto people being missionaries instead of mercenaries, but oftentimes missionaries can get a little bit dangerous too. So if you piss one of the crypto people off, they can show the claws.
Oh yeah, totally. The Bitcoiners, Bitcoin maximalists and all that stuff. Yeah, I totally see that.
Yeah, let's talk on friction points, man, because you touched on that and how kind of your people that are non-crypto users kind of came in and it was a non-starter with them. So what needs to happen and what barriers do we need to kind of cross? I know you're doing some things with your blog. You're kind of walking people through the process, but what things do we need to do to be more accessible?
Yeah, so I wrote this essay a couple months ago. It's called Metaphors We Build By. This is going to be a very long-winded answer.
Go down the rabbit hole, man.
Yeah. This is like, put on your, tinfoil hats and your galaxy brains. Like, let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a concept in cognitive linguistics called conceptual metaphor. And the idea is that there's no such thing as an abstract thought. Everything that you can possibly conceive of, from economics to romance to business, is actually grounded in physical reality that you've actually physically experienced. So a perfect example is like when you talk about the American economy, you would say something like, the economy is built to last, right? The foundation of the American economy crumbled, right? Mm-hmm. You're visualizing what? You're visualizing a physical structure. Well, I've encountered plenty of structures in my life. I've never walked into an economy. I've never bumped into an economy. I've bumped into a structure before. And so these metaphors actually help us conceptualize of these new things, these abstract things. So the idea is that any new concept needs to be based on something that I've experienced. It needs to have a metaphor for something that I've actually experienced and can relate to. And the further away you get from that, the more difficult it is to understand. So skeuomorphism is a perfect example of this. Apple executed this perfectly when they released the first iPhone. What did they have? If you look at the apps on the first iPhone, they look like literal books and shelves and ridiculous, horrible design that was on a phone. And why did they do that? Because they're metaphors for what we're used to in the real world. You see the bookshelf, you're like, oh, my books are there. You see the, the contact, old binder. You're like, my grandpa had one of those on the desk. I know what that's for, right? And so they basically used that design framework to more easily transition users to the to mobile phones. Then two years later, what did they do? They changed to flat design because that's the native language for that platform. And so what are they doing now? They have subtly 3D design because we're moving to what? Virtual reality and AR. Right? So like Apple is the master of these transitionary periods. I call them translators, right? We have builders and we have the build phase and then you have the mass adoption phase. You could build all the technology you want, but nobody's going to adopt it if you don't have translators. And so this is why marketers, this is why product people, this is why designers are so important for crypto to be adopted, is that we need to be describing things verbally, visually, in UX that everyday people understand, right? We need to say like, maybe token is the wrong word. Maybe it's just a key, right? Maybe, if all these financial instruments should be described as the financial instruments they're meant to emulate rather than these new kind of convoluted yield farming, what is like all that stuff.
It's interesting. I like that. Let's touch on the token piece real quick, because when you try to explain that to a non-crypto person, or maybe your mother or your aunt, that a token is worth $18,000, it's like an instant, like they're done. Like it doesn't make sense to them.
Yeah. It's preposterous. It's like a weird. I mean, what is a token for your mom? Like, what does she know a token to be?
Probably a Chuck E. Cheese token.
Yeah. That's okay. Then maybe we're using the wrong word. Like what if, like, I mean, we legally can't use the word equity.
Yeah, stock. We can't use stock.
But it's basically it's something similar to that.
Yeah.
So I think it's like with language and with user experience, not requiring crazy MetaMask, XYZ stuff. Basically making sure that whatever the new experience is doesn't feel very different from the old experience. That's what I think is missing from crypto right now. And I'm actually pretty bullish now because I'm seeing incredible design and UX coming out of DeFi right now. So I think it's on the horizon. The other thing is, in the early days of big platform shifts, you do need to rely on these people who don't care or who are like super, super early adopters. So, the crypto people today, like you do need to appeal to them. And it's not, nobody's stupid for, using these terms or using these UX paradigms, because, the crypto audience is the most important audience for crypto right now. Slowly we'll get there by changing some of the words and stuff.
Yeah, I definitely like that concept. So when we're talking about social tokens, I think we've talked on it being like a social coordination mechanism, but how would you translate to someone that is looking to understand what a social or personal token is? How do you think you would translate? Maybe we're having an ideation on the podcast, but I don't know, just from a TLDR. Thank you for taking me down that rabbit hole, by the way.
Yeah. What would I say?
We might be able to leave it for another time.
Yeah, no, it's tough. I mean, I try to describe thanks to people, and it's still pretty tough. What did I say on the website? Thanks is a cryptocurrency that you earn by expressing gratitude.
We were discussing like what's next, right? Because one of the cool things about being someone who's created a social token, and one of the worst things, is you have to think about utility, right? You have to think, what do I need to do? How do people use this? And it's such like a white rabbit. I explained it to the team like it's a checkpoint, right? You get to the one spot and then you move the checkpoint and then you move it. It's never like fully finished. So what are some things that you could potentially do down the road with thanks in the future? So
let me preface this with, obviously, like you said, the goalposts move back every time you accomplish anything. So, my first accomplishment is putting up a website and minting the token.
Yeah, so I feel that.
Yeah. Next objective is like fostering a really amazing community of people who are, spreading goodwill. and being thankful and gratitude and all that stuff. And this community I want to rely on for driving the vision and driving the future of how should we do good in the world? How should we give thanks to people? How should we reward people for doing good? That's the mission of the thankful community, is collect and reward people for the nicest people in the world, right? In a really genuine way. So I expect a lot of these people to, help come up with the vision, but we were talking last time. I think it'd be cool to experiment with a kind of a charity DAO, just because I think it's very aligned to kind of the ethos of the community, ethos of the token. And, I could see us rewarding thanks for every dollar that you commit in, or every dollar that you give to charity, you get a piece of thanks, or get one thanks or something. We could, pool our thanks together if it ever becomes liquid, and, use it to build schools, in different parts of the world. That would be awesome, right? Like Dogecoin is a huge inspiration there.
We keep getting back to like the idea that what you're able to do with the social token is coordinate a bunch of people. And I think you talked about DeFi, and there's definitely a lot of cool things going on, but capital formation in these treasuries is something that's been awesome to see from DeFi, because although you have some scams, what you eventually do have is a bunch of nice teams that then have a treasury that they can do things with as a group via a DAO, a decentralized DAO, where everywhere around the world you're able to kind of coordinate and then do good things like you're saying. I love that, man.
Yeah, and let me put this out there in the world. I'm still a crypto outsider, and I'm looking for really people who are aligned to this mission of kind of doing good in the world, to help out and be part of this community and help lead this vision forward.
Absolutely, man. So before we move on from thanks, do you just want to wrap a bow on it by talking about the event today?
Yeah. So I guess just wrapping up, like, it's Thanksgiving. I'm really excited to be on this show, because I think everything I've heard is the lads are a really, really nice group of people. Really thankful.
I appreciate it.
Really thankful group. So I'm kind of hoping the lads win and beat out Random Number Generator and the other groups. But yeah, the idea is that you go to the website, you click a button, you say what you're thankful for, you drop the lads in. I increment the leaderboard, and by the end of, actually it's the end of November, so we're gonna have a few more days of Thanksgiving, because why not? We could do a week of Thanksgiving. By the end of November, whoever gives the most thanks gets the most thanks. And so you'll get 100 thanks when you say what you're thankful for right off the bat. That's enough to join the community. It's enough to participate in all the awesome stuff. And then you'll get extra thanks when you win, which I hope you do. The other point is that there's another level of thanks called the most thankful. Obviously, with 100 thanks, you join the thankful. With 1,000 thanks, you join the most thankful. And that group has just special privileges, like, my undying love. I don't know. This is figuring out the utility.
Love that utility, man. That's a never moving goalpost.
Undying love. Yeah. I mean, I'm tempted to offer like consulting services, or like, my network, or retweets from me, but that seems like really, I would do that anyways.
I love that, man. I appreciate that. That's what I want to hear from the founder of Thanks, is that you would do that anyway. So thanks for the love for the lads there. One thing we love to do, I'd hate to call us a mature social token. We literally just launched, at least on Uniswap, like 3 days ago. But one thing we want to do as we build out a stable token that we can do things with, like we talked about the white rabbit of utility, is be able to use lads to donate to a good cause. So maybe there's some synergy there where we can donate lads to whatever cause you guys go ahead with.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah. Maybe we can basically have like the thankful community kind of use kind of like the tokens to govern, which charities and stuff we want to donate to, and then we make a big event out of it.
There you go.
Have other communities donate.
Call the lads up.
Call the lads up. Lads, we need you.
Awesome, man. All right, so that's happening today. Thanks is happening. It is Thanksgiving. That's why we're having this special episode. I guess we'll wrap this up because, like everyone else, Brett actually is super interested in NFTs. That's obviously been a sector that's been super hot as well. Tell me what you're doing with NFTs, man. Everyone that's in the LADZ is, I wouldn't say everyone, but a lot of guys in the LADZ love NFTs. So what are you doing there with NFTs?
Yeah, so I write this newsletter. Social Studies is actually the origin of Thanks. In addition to writing about emerging tech, I actually build and experience emerging tech. So instead of writing about a dating app, I'm actually building a dating app. Instead of writing about social tokens, we created Thanks. And so I've been watching a lot of really amazing stuff happen in NFTs over the last couple of months. A couple of my favorite artists launched NFTs, so Blau and RAC. One of my best friends, Colin, who I mentioned before, is one of the top collectors on Super Rare. And so he's been just talking in my ear about how amazing the space is. And then I've obviously been watching how much fulfillment and how much money these artists can be making on these platforms compared to what they were making before, which is basically nothing. And so I'm on kind of an adventure to create my own NFT and put it on whichever platform I decide on, and sell it and go through the whole process myself and see what happens. I think there's a ton of opportunity in the space. I've honestly mulled over several startup ideas in the NFT space myself. I came from, like I said, I worked at Google, and we worked on stickers, sticker packs for messaging apps. And not a lot of people know this, but Line is a huge messaging app in Asia. They made $270 million in 2015 on sticker packs, right? And these are sticker packs that are not NFTs.
It's like the WeChat stickers, basically.
WeChat stickers, it's in Facebook Messenger, it's in everything right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the challenge with stickers, right? I think the challenge with NFTs is that they have no utility, right? Or they don't have very much utility to the average non-crypto person. Like finding a Bitcoin in your NFT or getting guaranteed services is cool, but a sticker that actually has utility because I can send it as a message or I can use it to express myself has a different, in my mind, has a different impact. I don't know. I've talked to some insiders about this and they've pushed back, but yeah.
I would say that the rails aren't there to send seamlessly NFTs between people. Like I'm not able to send NFTs in a Discord or Telegram. Maybe we're getting at your idea, but
yeah, totally. The other interesting opportunity in NFTs is actually Alex Masmench tweeted this today, but he said face masks, Snapchat face masks should be NFTs. And I actually have a good friend who's an amazing 3D artist, worked at Pixar, and then Oculus, and he's building kind of like a platform to allow people to buy face masks, but unique face masks. So obviously those could be NFTs as well.
Listen, Brett, this has been an amazing conversation.
Yeah.
I can't wait for the lads to win this competition. We're going to try our best. Thank you so much for kind of taking me down all the rabbit holes you did. And again, happy Thanksgiving and hopefully you're doing well.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Happy Thanksgiving to you too.
Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed today's episode. Make sure to check out Layer 1 on all the audio and video platforms listed in the description. Thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you next week.